Okay, so here we are halfway through turn 16, August 15th, 1944. Germans have just finished their turn. Not much excitement. We knew that was not happening on this turn, as we were just hoping to pull back to these more defensible positions further into Estonia and Latvia. Succeeded in doing that. How successful those positions will be in defending from total annihilation, we'll soon find out. In Estonia here towards Tartu, we've got a bit of a forward defense while we could hopefully prepare some defenses in the actual city itself. More of a speed bump probably will just be overrun or gone around by the Russian attackers should the supply make that possible. A little bit of a speed bump here with some breakdowns, just trying to prevent a just forward rush into our Estonian positions. Same intent with these interdiction markers here. The German Air Force was successful in doing some train busting to prevent a rapid bomb forward. That will only slow them down, it won't stop them. But hopefully that will preserve the German positions for another turn or two. By slowing down that massive blob of Russian men and machine. Over here, we're still holding the river line, the one bridge over the river line in this sector. We're allowing these forces to bomb forward. You don't want to allow the massing of troops here to just drive into this open, not greatly defensible terrain. I don't feel good about this situation here at all, but I do feel better about it. Like I said in my last video, I think the game would have been over with an initiative win by the Russians, and had they gone first here, I think the bulk of these forces wouldn't be here anymore. Or at least they would be surrounded and would not be here for much longer. Yeah, so I still think it's a bad situation. Needing to defend Estonia is key. But not having anything to do that job is very difficult. You can see I've cleared this sector here of any of its defending units. I've kind of cleared the rear areas of anything that would look like a tasty target for the Germans as well. Pretty much asking them to come in there should the supply warrant it. These two stacks here are some stronger mobile units. Hopefully as a counterattack to anything that may become adventurous and slightly dangerous into that sector, and to respond to any threats we may have along this line here. They should be able to quickly respond once I can get them into reserves. There is some reserves in that stack there, an AR-5 battalion. Not a lot, but could be enough to do what we need it to do. So that's the situation here. Everything is the same in the center. In the Daugavpils area, need to rename that area because we're no longer fighting there. So we'll turn away from here and look towards the west, which I'm a little bit confused as to how to advance with. Alright, so here we are on the western portion of the map. Riga being here, Germany being that away. I've decided to hold the line with the Germans, kind of preserving what we have, what we've gained, which is not much. I wanted to have a strong counterattack with these forces, but I'm not sure how to do it. Or, not that I don't know how to do it, I don't know where, and I don't know whether it is a good idea. I think force preservation has to be top of the German player's mind. He's already exponentially outnumbered on almost all of the rest of the map. Here as well, I would say we're probably about 50-50 in terms of actual units on the board. He's probably the stronger player in this portion of the map right now too. But I cannot see anywhere in this area that I could actually inflict a lasting blow on the Russian player. So I think force preservation, being in a position to react, is the best move. If there's any OCS experts watching this, I'd like some input on how maybe you in the past, if you've played Baltic Gap, have used these stronger armored forces. Just moving them is a concern with the supply requirements. I've got 6 panzer divisions in this area. That would be a hell of a lot of supply to spend just to move them, let alone attacking, defending, anything like that. Few bad rolls for the Germans in the last few supply phases have weakened our supply position, which was ridiculous before these units arrived. I can see where it can so quickly disappear just for fuel. So the situation we have is we've put a 5th Panzer into this open area here that I had talked about the Russians maybe driving into. That's an enticing target for the Russians, which maybe is what the Germans want. Grossdeutschland is sitting in reserve here to react to any advances should they be this way, which I don't see any purpose of going in that direction at the moment, and more likely this way or towards Riga. We can maybe hit them from behind should they drive their main push there. But yeah, I think my large availability of options as to what to do with both sides here, at least it feels like it, we're in open terrain, very mobile units, is giving me a bit of analysis paralysis, which I definitely suffer from playing OCS at times. So yeah, if there's anybody watching who would like to chime in and say their piece as to what they would maybe do in this situation with both sides, I'd love to hear it. The Germans feel fairly comfortable in their situation. The Russians also feel mostly comfortable. I think to here, from this direction on, both sides are happy to stare at each other. This is where the shitstorm begins and the confusion starts for me, with 2 large tank divisions and tank division and tank corps staring each other down. The Russian supply situation is going to continue to improve. They'll get a little more brazen in their attacks, and they're willing to sacrifice units to exchange with the Russians or with the Germans. So yeah, alright, well, that's the situation as it is so far. Turn 16. We'll get on with Russian movement and see what they can do. I really don't know. I'm going to be delaying doing this part of the front because I'm not sure what to do. I think we may attack in the center this turn, try and take some key points there. Our infantry starting to catch up along the major river line, and towards Pskov we just need to move up and meet the German positions now and see what damage we can cause. So alright, we'll check in a moment with the end of the turn and see where we can go. Alright, so turn 16 is now complete. Taking a look in the west here, as this is where the least action has happened on this turn in a very action-packed turn. The Russians just holding this road as their main goal at the moment in this area. Gives them freedom of movement along these lines, build the attack going forward, gives us an opportunity to start taking some shots at the Riga region, but really nothing special here. Could have attacked at Jelgava, right in that DG hex on this turn with our tank corps. Opted against doing that, just for the purposes of keeping that force as a counter to whatever the Germans could throw forward, depending on who won the initiative going into the next turn. If we were to commit that force, even attack, fail or succeed, Germans driving through this very thin, poorly defended line would be very dangerous. More than a black eye, possibly, if the Germans played their cards right there for the Russian player. So that could hurt. So I think it's safer to go this route. I don't want to hold here as the Russians. I think we'll slowly inch our way forward. There's a little bit of better defensible terrain there, but this is a start. And again, the Germans are a little bit worried to commit unless they can see a surefire way to really cause damage. So that is it for the west, and we'll move into the center where things are much more interesting. Okay, I say much more interesting, not exactly. Much more interesting in that something actually happened. There was some combat, so a little more interesting than we've seen to this point. this hex here originally was held by the Germans when this turn started, the Russian half of the turn. They managed to win an attack there, taking many steps of German infantry with them. Used reserves, had 2 stacks of reserves, plus exploit capable on those units that attacked initially to advance forward. 2 DG hex here. I attacked in the combat phase, or the combat phase of the reaction. Combat portion of the reaction phase, killing many more steps. These are very thinly defended now. This one here is a pop point and a bridge. That bridge would be huge if we could connect these 2 lines. Almost got it. I think if we had forced one more option on the defender there, we would have been through. Same here. One more option, we would have cut off that hex from the rest of the front here. Lots to think about as the German player in this area. Heavily weakened. They have to decide now, if they win initiative, do we force units back into those hexes? I would say yes. These will swing around, or do they pull back and start defending further towards Riga? I think I answered my own question there. We'll pull those units around and reinforce those positions, should we win initiative. So, alright, we'll move to the north here and see how it's going in Estonia now. Okay, so here's our situation in Latvia, Estonia. You can see we've finally broken through this bridgehead here. Across that bridge, already had an infantry unit on the other side attacking a single battalion that was defending those positions. Was a strong defense, though. They had defender surprise. I think it was something like 4 or 5 shifts. Forced an option, though, and because we had zone of controls projected all around that unit, it ended up being defeated. So we crossed the bridge, overran the next hex with our reserve movement, and then barraged and attacked this pop point hex here. Actually, having cleared that area with the Germans previously, moving those units here, I had some reserve armor that activated, moved through these positions, attacked using their internal supply to join in this attack, ensuring we captured that hex here. So these 2 units are essentially cut off, and the Germans have a lot to think about here. That newly built defensive line is no more. Counterattack is possible, but probably stupid. Oh, this is hard. They're just disintegrating, so. Alright, well, let's take a look over here, because this is interesting as well. You can see at Tartu, there's some Russian units right next to Tartu. Thought about doing the attack, ended up being a minor city, and we opted against it. With an initiative win here as the Russians, though, that could be very dangerous. Tartu is not strongly defended, not weakly defended, but not strongly defended. There's 2 Estonian garrisons plus this anti-aircraft battalion. Attacking a city with a tank corps is not the best plan of action, though. If I could get some infantry forward, that would be the best. So, unfortunately, it's not to be. I've done the initiative roll now, and the Germans have won, thank Christ. So they'll be able to hopefully garrison there with these units, pull them back, reorganize something here, pull back. This is somewhat holding, but it's not going to for very long, and we're going to be able to garrison these 2 DG hexes again. So huge expenditure of supply, losses very large on both sides in the Russian half of the turn here, but ultimately it didn't get the Russians as far as they would have liked, I don't think. They've lost another pop point. They're sitting at 26 owned pop points and a requirement of 28 on the turn, so they're now down by 3 victory points total. So, very interesting going into turn 17. I think it could swing very quickly back to the Russians. Like, as I said, these positions are just disintegrating. and I'm not really sure how to fix this. So, alright, on to turn 17, and hopefully we can keep this game going a little bit longer. It's not over by any means. Even if we lose a lot of these forces here, I still think we can put up a bit of a fight. As the Germans, they've proven resilient so far, so alright, let's get on with it.